Welcome to the Airbnb Roadmap, the podcast designed to navigate you through the entire journey of short-term rental success. Whether you're just starting out or ready to take your hosting game to the next level. My husband and I became super hosts within just months of launching our first Airbnb and have proudly kept that title ever since. With over 350 reviews and an overall 4.95 star ratings, we picked up a hack or two I'm excited to share with you. In each episode, I break down the strategies, insights, and industry secrets that set profitable short-term rentals apart. From choosing the right property, understanding local regulations, and obtaining your listing to go beyond just the basics. I'm here to share everything you need to succeed. So if you're ready to map out your path to Airbnb success and unlock the full potential of short-term rentals, join me on the Airbnb Roadmap. Your journey starts here. Hey, I'm Brittany Wenninger from Porch Realty, powered by Real Broker LLC. And 'tis the wedding season. Oh my gosh. I remember last year, maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, it was definitely 2 years ago. Leigh and I had 9 weddings to go to. And I think that we were in half of them. But 9 weddings is absolutely ridiculous. And it was so exhausting because it was like every single weekend in the summer was a wedding. And we are huge boaters. And that like took up our boating season. I was like, guys, I love. And there were just way too many weddings. So that was kind of ridiculous. Now last year, no, oh my gosh. Okay, that was 3 years ago now that I think about it. 3 years ago. Wow, time flies by. Okay, 3 years ago I had the 9 wedding summer. 2 years ago was our wedding. And yeah, we just celebrated a 2-year wedding anniversary, which is really awesome. And not to brag, but everyone still talks about our wedding. And our wedding was dope. I sounded way too young right there, and I'm not that cool, guys. But anyways, our wedding was so freaking awesome. And this episode is all about our wedding, which is kind of fun. So if you like this idea, go up to your fiance and pitch this idea for your wedding because it's amazing. And I actually come from a wedding background. Fun fact about me is when I was in college, I actually graduated with a business degree. I thought I wanted to become a wedding coordinator. And I did that for a little bit. So I graduated college. I worked for a company called Cherry Blossom Events in Madison, Wisconsin. Shout out to Cherry Blossom. They do an amazing job. And it was just part-time, but I was able to assist, people with their weddings. And then I moved up and I was actually able to help plan the weddings, which was really fun. Now, it took up every single weekend, and that is one of the reasons why I did not actually go into a career of event coordinating, because events happen on the weekend and they are a lot of work. I literally would get to the venue at 7 a.m., sometimes 6 a.m., and I wouldn't be able to leave until 3 a.m. because I had to wait for, the renters or the rental company to come and get the chairs, the tables, and all that good jazz. So it was very, 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 very long days. But again, I come from a wedding background, and these weddings that we would plan were like around $75,000 wedding. Like, their budget was insane. So naturally, when I got married, sorry Clay, but when I got married, it was like I wanted that huge shebang wedding. And I saw, the gorgeous floral that other brides did, and I wanted that too. So did I do that? Yes and no, but my own little twist. Because after planning about like 40 to 45 weddings, you kind of pick up a hack or two when it comes to like what to buy, what to not buy, and what to do and what not to do. So for my wedding, I wanted it to be a huge, huge banger. Like literally. Like Miley Cyrus Wrecking Ball music video banger. Maybe that wasn't Wrecking Ball. Whatever. But like if you've seen Miley Cyrus's music videos, like some of them are just at a house, like in a pool, being all crazy. So that is my wedding. So I was like, all right, these venues are way too expensive and they want like $2,000 just to rent out the room that Clay and I say I do in, which is really dumb because like that whole ceremony part, literally 30 minutes, not even. And to spend $2,000 on just like a room that we just say I do is really ridiculous. So I was like, all right, let's get really creative. So I actually found a huge, gorgeous, I I don't even know the square footage. It was absolutely insane, but a huge, gorgeous mansion on Vrbo. And I was like, I want to get married in a Airbnb slash Vrbo short-term rental because that is what Clay and I are all about, and it just kind of it fits. So I was trying to. Well, I found a place in Arizona. This place was really cool. It was like a huge complex. So there was like a big building that like had bunk beds in that one, and then there was a primary building, and then the in-ground pool, and so on and so forth. I was actually really close to booking that one. And then I realized that when people fly into Arizona, this place is not that close, so they would have to get a rental vehicle and drive to this complex. And that's just like not really the most feasible when it comes to, everyone. So I was like, okay, this place I find, it has to be close to Wisconsin or like within, I would say, like 7 to 8 hours. And I found one. So we actually got married at a huge mansion in Lake of the Ozarks. And this place was absolutely gorgeous. It was literally Clay and I's vibe. The ceiling had the wood, like the dark wood panels. It was stone. It was dark and moody. Like that is who we are. It also had an in-ground pool on the lake. Because like I mentioned, like we are huge boaters. So it needed to be on the lake. And I found this and I think like the second or third booking because it like just got up online. And I was like, this is awesome. So I booked it and then I started planning the wedding. Now, why am I mentioning all this in the Airbnb Roadmap podcast episode? Like this has nothing to do with Airbnb. Well, it kind of does. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because having weddings at your venue or at your property could be literally a gold mine. And I just want to share like some tips and tricks that you can totally do at your property if your property is large and has a lot of acreage or just like really cool. So, or if you just like want to get married at a Vrbo like we did, but that's kind of two segments. So let's just keep on going with this first one. So I rented this Vrbo and it slept, I think 23 people. Yeah, I think 23 people. And what we did, because obviously like renting out this huge, I think it went up on Zillow for like $9 million. So renting out this huge $9 million mansion, it cost us a lot. I think it was like $2,500 per night. And it was a 5-night minimum. So what we did was we're like, hey, if you want to stay at the mansion with us, it's going to be $300 a person and you can stay there for 4 nights. So all of our friends obviously took that up because we were going to be drinking a lot, partying, and just like crawling into bed and not driving was the most ideal situation. So all of our friends were like, absolutely, I'll pay for that. So they actually helped pay for my gorgeous flowers and the rentals and the buffet and all that stuff, which was really nice. And that's kind of like, we kind of hacked the system. Like literally our friends paid to stay at our wedding venue. Now, when I booked the property, I asked the owner if I could go and just kind of like scope out the mansion to, like figure out the flow and all that stuff. This is a crazy story. He was like, yes, for sure. You can come on by. No one is staying at the property at this time. And I was like, wow, it's springtime. I'm surprised that like it's not going to be booked. Well, we go there and found out that in the wintertime, they had a huge, huge storm. This storm blew open the doors and it literally froze every single pipe in this giant mansion. So every single pipe was frozen and then they burst. So they had to literally redo every single bathroom. They had to pretty much like replumb this whole house, which means like taking out the drywall and like pretty much gutting it. And the shitty part is that he bought that property like not even a year ago, fixed it up just to rent it out as a short-term rental and then catered to the wedding people. And then that happens. That probably cost him a freaking fortune. But I didn't find out about this until we got to the property. And I was like, oh my God, my wedding's going to be here in literally like 3 to 4 months. WTF, like, are you guys gonna be ready? And he's like, yes, we'll be ready. Well, they literally got done like renovating and all that stuff 2 weeks prior to my wedding. Like, how wild is that? Anyways, yeah. But so while I was there, like the first time, I was able to envision everything and then kind of like make my own map and whatnot. Like I was a wedding planner, so I knew how to do that. And then the day of, obviously, like I literally, oh my God, I'm literally a psycho. I printed off a 15-page master document about what everyone had to do, like especially like my parents and the in-laws and all that. Like everyone had their task list because I didn't have a wedding coordinator. So everyone was kind of like helping me out do stuff. And we did, so it was 5-night minimum, but we actually had a welcome event on Friday. The welcome event, just like I had one of our buddies that he volunteered, so he did an amazing job. Ty and Izzy. They cooked all the burgers and brats, and that was during the welcome event. And every single person that was invited to the welcome event was invited to the wedding. And that was kind of like a very like nice, chill, like, hey, get to know everyone before the big day. And then Saturday was the big day. That was our wedding. We catered everything in, and it was amazing just because literally everyone knew each other from the welcome event, and it was just very chill. Like we had, I think, 75 people at this mansion, huge party. Now, I forgot to tell you, there was an in-ground pool with a swim-up bar, and at night, you know, everyone's drinking, everyone's having a good time. Well, since we're from Wisconsin, we like to drink, we get a little rowdy. I decided to jump into the pool with my wedding dress. Do I regret that? Absolutely not. That was so freaking awesome. And I mean, I didn't really care about my wedding dress whatsoever. So I jumped into the pool. It was awesome. Everyone was like already swimming. If the if the owner of this mansion literally was watching the cameras, it looked like that we were like filming a music video, or oh my God, I think it's not 21 Jump Street. There's a movie with a lot of stoners in it, and they just throw a banger of a party, and it's like a massive pool party. Anyways, that's kind of what it looked like toward the end of the night. The music was bumping, people were like jumping into the pool, getting out of the pool, jumping back into the pool. Like it was awesome. There was floaties and all that. Anyways, Sunday, you know, normal people would be feeling it. They would be super hungover. But Wisconsinites, they rally. So we decided to go on to a boat tour, and we pretty much toured all of Lake of the Ozarks and bar hopped. So, you know, rally, because you can't get a hangover if you don't stop. Sorry, that was bad. I'm not like that anymore. I'm a mom now. I'm a mom. So, anyways. Thinking of listing your property on Airbnb? Here's an exciting opportunity just for you. When you sign up and use my name, Brittany Wenninger, you'll receive exclusive guidance on your profile. I'll work with you personally to make your listing shine. highlighting what makes your property special, appealing to the guests, and ensuring it stands out from the rest. Plus, you'll receive $48 when you launch and host your first guest in 180 days from signing up with the link in my show notes. It's a unique chance to get an insider perspective and boost your listing's appeal from day one. Don't just list your property. Let's make it unforgettable. Again, sign up by clicking the link in the show notes and let's elevate your Airbnb game together. So that was Sunday, and then Monday, not a lot, but a couple of us decided to rent jet skis. But it was like our wedding was a full-blown vacation. It was so awesome. Section number 2 of this episode and how it can actually benefit you. If you have a great property that has acreage and can fit a lot of people and doesn't really have like a maximum occupancy, like, you know, only 15 people can stay. Like, you can have as many as you want, but obviously, like, don't go overboard. If you have one of those properties and you want to make some bucks, have it available as a wedding as well. Because what a lot of people do is once they say, hey, I'm going to have a wedding at your cabin, people charge extra money. So like $5,000, $7,000, $10,000. The guy that, like the host for the mansion that we did, he tried charging me $10,000. Well, I booked like really fast, like probably a couple days of him actually having it up on Vrbo. He did not have this fee on there when I tried booking, and then he added it afterwards, and he's like, you owe me $10,000. I was like, no, I don't, because that fee didn't, like, it was not on there when I booked. And he's like, oh, yeah, you're right, I did add it afterwards. I'm like, yeah, so I'm not paying that. But anyways, that's what people will charge, is like $5,000 to $10,000 if you say like, hey, there's a wedding. Now, if you do this though, I highly, highly, highly recommend that a wedding coordinator is required. And I have done a lot of venues, and a lot of venues actually do this. And they require a wedding coordinator because that wedding coordinator will make sure that the rentals are picked up at night, that, you know, it's not a huge like trash disaster at the property, and they actually they will plan the wedding very smoothly. And then that way, that if you say, hey, there needs to be a wedding coordinator on site, that way they kind of share the responsibilities of keeping up with the property. Also, if this is a known wedding coordinator, they are probably already going to know your property, because there's already probably going to be like weddings that happen there. And they don't have to bring the bride through the property all the time. They can just say, hey, I know this wedding coordinator. Wedding coordinator, here is the code to the property. You can bring your bride and groom, but let's just admit it's mostly bride. Bring the bride through the property, film around, and then you do you. That way you don't actually have to do anything, to be honest, and that's the beauty of it. Now, with weddings, I would definitely have additional insurance, because some things might get messed up, like TV might get broken or so on and so forth. So definitely have additional insurance. Also, I would do exactly what this guy did for us and have like either 4-night minimum or 5-night minimum, because if you're just charging, let's say like $2,500 per night, and you just have a 1-night minimum, that's not going to be worth like having a wedding there with all the hassle and all that BS. So I would do a 5-night minimum for weddings. And truthfully, if that bride likes the venue enough, they'll make it work. So 'tis the wedding season. And if you like weddings and you have a great property that can host a wedding, 100% think about that, because you can make so much additional money just by saying that you host weddings. And a way to actually advertise this is obviously through Vrbo and Airbnb, but you can also go on wedding websites called The Knot. The Knot is very popular, and people look up like, hey, I want to get married in Madison, Wisconsin. Where are the wedding venues? So go on the knot as well. And then that's additional, obviously, marketing avenue that you can do and kind of stay off of those platforms. And then that way you don't have to pay the host fee. So 'tis the wedding season, and make that wedding happen at your property. And if you don't have a property and you kind of want to, get into that avenue, look for a property and go buy it and do it and tell me about it, because that will be so cool to advertise. And I will definitely put it on my Instagram and social media platforms that that's a wedding venue that someone should definitely check out, because how cool is it getting married at a Vrbo or an Airbnb? So cool. I'm so happy that we did that. But anyways, as always, if you have any questions, let me know. Till next time. Thanks for joining me on the Airbnb Roadmap. If you're loving these episodes and want to keep the conversation going, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with someone who's ready to dive into the world of short-term rentals. Got a question or topic you would love to hear about? Reach out. This podcast is all about learning and growing together. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, the Airbnb Roadmap Podcast, for more tips, tricks, and behind-the-scene insights. Until next time, here's to turning your short-term rental dreams into thriving realities. I'll see you back here soon.